Happy to be making a brief presentation to you today on careers in molecular medicine and biochemistry. I'm very delighted to be here. I know a lot of you young people are here. These are the future minds of our nation, the future creative strength of our nation. And this is the right time for you to be thinking about careers in advanced new fields which is taking root in India. And I'm happy to, as a person doing research in these areas, I'm happy to give you some directions and guidance in cutting edge areas that are coming up in India. My background, very briefly, as was explained in the introduction, I was in the US for 20 plus years as a professor in the University of Massachusetts, and coming back to India in 2006, my main goal was to inspire a new generation of young minds to take up new fields which have a lot of value and importance for our own country. So these are exciting times for young students graduating from high schools and graduating from going on to a college career. And there's been many new areas that are emerging. India is increasingly entering the science and technology marketplace. There are a lot of companies that are starting up in India which are looking at bringing advanced technology products to the people. There are a lot of new startups. Government is encouraging new startups. Also, multinational companies are coming and vying to set up shop in India, and they're looking for a talent pool. They're looking for people like you who may be very creative and may be motivated to contribute to our country. And in addition to the industry, even the academic fields are looking for talented people. India has become very competitive in research, unlike several decades ago. For example, in some new areas, India is number 3 in the world in terms of number of publications that are coming out in some of these new fields. An example is nanotechnology, where India is publishing high quality papers in large numbers. And so the message that I'd like to give you is, don't get only into the conventional thinking, that is, be an engineer or a doctor. That is a passé idea. You need to think about what are the real possibilities, what is really happening in India in science and technology, and make your decisions like that. Some of the top emerging areas of activity in India that I have put down: information technology, biotechnology, nanotechnology, nanobiotechnology, molecular medicine, manufacturing technologies, robotics, artificial intelligence, cognitive science, that is brain science, educational technologies. These are all taking root and is having a major impact in our country. And I have highlighted in yellow some of the fields where at our center in Amrita Center for Nanosciences and Molecular Medicine, areas that we are focusing on in a big way, both in the teaching and academic programs as well as in research. And these are areas that are also very strong in India. There is a big marketplace and there's a big academic need in these areas. And so I want to focus a little bit on some of these emerging areas where we are doing a lot of work in. So the main idea in these emerging areas is that it is interdisciplinary. Unlike in the traditional topics of engineering, botany, biology, zoology, these are all monolithic sort of subjects. They're important, but today's environment is more competitive and more interdisciplinary. The key word is interdisciplinary. I have put 3 circles that are overlapping here. One is basic science, the other is medical science, and the third is engineering and technology. And you can see that these 3 circles are overlapping. So there are areas where, for example, you need basic science and you need medical or clinical science. So doctors who are doing clinical studies need to work with basic medical scientists to make progress, to make cutting-edge inventions and discoveries. Basic scientists need to work with engineering and technology. So you can bring in computers, you can bring in medical devices, you can bring in new devices using some new technologies like thin film technologies, and create devices and products in multidisciplinary areas. So this sort of a confluence of different areas is the way I feel young people should think. How to bring in expertise in different multidisciplinary areas and how to train in multidisciplinary areas rather than in a particular monolithic area. So our university, what is special about our university is we are sort of inspired to do something out of the box, to do something for society, do something to help others, and this inspiration comes right from the top with our Chancellor Amma, who says that education is not just a simple conventional way of looking at it, which is to get a job, get an education, but it is actually a process of self-development, of getting excited about some new fields and giving back to society. So I will spend a little bit of time talking to you about our center, which is the Nanobio and Molecular Medicine Center. And I'm happy to say that we are the #1 state-of-the-art center in this area, both in molecular medicine and nanobiotechnology, the cutting-edge fields. We have developed in the last 10 years. We started in 2006 when I came back from the US to set up the center. And at that time, it was a very new area. So in the last 14 years, the area has developed in a very big way, and we've had a lot of funding and support from the government to develop. And we have started academic programs as well as research programs. Several years ago, our beloved former president came and visited our center because he heard about so many good things happening here. And this is where I'm showing him some of our work, and he's taking a keen interest in listening to the work that we are doing. So we'll start this presentation at this point with a very brief video that I would like to play for you. So please watch it. It's only for 4 minutes or 5 minutes, and it gives you a little bit of an overview of what we are doing.
An immense passion for science is vital to push boundaries of research, but the most important factor is the inspiration to change lives. Amrita's Center for Nanosciences and Molecular Medicine was started with this vision and has been constantly striving to attain excellence in education and research. We are India's first nanobio center and one of the thematic units of excellence under the Nano Mission, generously funded by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. In addition, immense support from the Department of Biotechnology and the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy has helped us be where we are today.
If we look at human history, cancer is one of the toughest diseases we ever faced with. At Amrita, we have a major cancer nanomedicine program where we develop nanomedicines that specifically detect and kill cancer cells and cancer stem cells.
This is a unique protein nanomedicine which was developed for cancer therapy. Here we use 2 human proteins which are self-assembled to form a coaxial nanoparticle.
This is a nanofibrous polymeric implant to treat brain cancer. This implant can deliver multiple drugs for a long period in the brain without affecting any other part of the body.
Diagnosis is an emerging technique wherein we can combine diagnosis and therapy together. Here in the center, we have developed this doped calcium phosphate nanoparticles for image-guided treatment of cancer using MRI, optical, ultrasound, and nuclear properties.
This is a simple light-based nanosensor for the detection of oral cancer patients at an early stage. Here we used confocal Raman spectromethodology method for its detection. We can use this technology at community level for large-scale screening of oral cancer patients.
Molecular medicine is an upcoming field that has immense potential in identifying specific molecular tools for disease diagnosis, treatment, prognosis, and prevention.
Proteomics Laboratory's motto is research from bedside to bedside and back to bedside. In this regard, we have identified molecules specific for central nervous system leukemia as well as for neurodegenerative disorder multiple sclerosis. And apart from the identification of these molecules, we have developed an in-house low-cost commercially viable protein verification system with which we could develop diagnostic kits which is affordable to common man.
My stem cell lab, in collaboration with Dr. Krishnakumar Menon, developed a 3-dimensional bone marrow niche-like condition for testing the chemosensitivity of leukemic stem and progenitor cells. This can be used as an effective in vitro drug screening platform.
Regenerative medicine and drug delivery are other promising areas in medical research.
In our lab, we have actually developed a novel technique of 3D spinning, wherein we have got these polymeric threads which can be developed into continuous yarns, and that can be made further into fabrics of this kind which can be drug loaded and can also be developed into vascular grafts that are currently under testing in rabbit models.
The backbone of the center is its state-of-the-art facilities that house some of the most sophisticated and advanced equipment needed for research. These research facilities are supported by Government of India grants from DBT, DST, ICMR, CSIR, UGC and MNRE.
The DST Amrita Animal MRI facility houses a 7 Tesla high-resolution imaging system that is used routinely by researchers for live animal imaging studies. The DBT Amrita TEM facility has a high-resolution field emission transmission electron microscope that is capable of atomic level characterization. The DBT Amrita confocal imaging facility accommodates a 2-photon laser confocal microscope along with a Raman imaging system. The animal facility at Amrita houses both small and large animals for research purposes. It also contains a nude mice facility for those studies that require immunocompromised animals. The Animal Cardiac Catheterization Facility houses a motorized state-of-the-art C-arm that is used for major cardiovascular studies in large animals.
With the expertise and infrastructure available at ACNS-MM, we have been able to develop products with translational potential. With the help of DBT and DST, we have now built a 6,000 square feet nano GMP facility that is the first of its kind in India. The GMP facility houses 4 dedicated process lines for non-chemotherapeutic products and 1 process line exclusively for chemotherapeutics. Our goal is to ultimately take our developed products to clinical trials.
In addition, our faculty profile includes scientists who have been awarded prestigious fellowships such as the Inspire Fellowship, the Ramalinga Swami Fellowship and the Ramanujan Fellowship. The center also actively collaborates with several reputed international researchers. We have also successfully launched 3 innovative MTech programs in nanomedical science, molecular medicine and nanotechnology and renewable energy, which were first of their kind in India. Inspired by research, inspired to serve.
So, thank you for your patience in watching that video. It really gives you an idea of the cutting edge activities that are going on. So, let me now talk about our center activities and what courses we are offering, what are the career opportunities you have, and so on. So let's come to the academics first. So there are, you today are mostly interested in undergraduate programs. So we have started 2 very important undergraduate programs, which is at the heart of new developments in medicine. And the first is a B.Sc, Bachelor of Science in Molecular Medicine. So molecular medicine, unlike the field of medicine, which is more clinically oriented, is more scientifically oriented, and it is at the basis of discovering new inventions that will help in diagnosing and treating diseases. So it's a new field that has emerged very rapidly. There's a lot of potential there, and it is the right time to train our new talent, think in an interdisciplinary fashion, and understand the connection between diseases and biological molecules. So that connection is explored in this course, and that is the first course. The second course is biochemistry. Biochemistry is, I wouldn't call it cutting edge in the sense that it is the bread and butter of how the body works. So there are biological molecules, there are biological solvents, fluids, and all the biochemical interactions between molecules in the body, be it DNA, be it proteins, be it carbohydrates, be it RNA, all the interaction between basic biological molecules and how it governs the functioning of the body is what is biochemistry. And biochemistry is offered in many places, but molecular medicine is not offered pretty much anywhere. And I'll tell you why and why we are offering it. So these are the two courses, bachelor's. So students who are coming out of high schools who don't necessarily want to be a clinician and treat patients, but who want to get into the field of medicine as a science and as a field where you can develop new drugs, new diagnostic devices. Those sort of students may find a lot of attraction to molecular medicine and also biochemistry. So just to give you an insight, we also have PG or postgraduate programs. Many of you will likely not stop with a B.Sc degree, because if you really want to develop your career, I don't strongly recommend that you should forget about academics and go into the industry for good. You may take a break and get an experience in the industry, but it's very important that you also look ahead of the B.Sc degree and look at PG program. One of the good things about our center is that we offer follow-up PG degrees, which are very powerful, which really gives you further advanced specialization, which will help you get a higher level or better positions in companies, as well as allow you to go abroad and get a higher education in some other advanced countries. So, for example, we have PG programs in molecular medicine as well. So, if you took the B.Sc and you really were excited about it and you're making a lot of progress, you would want to continue and do a molecular medicine in MSc or MTech, which is Master of Technology. We also have courses in nanobiotechnology, which is biotechnology with nanotechnology as an interdisciplinary program. One other aspect of our program, and which is important when you join anyone, whether it be Amrita or any other place, look and see whether it has international collaborations, which are very important, because today the world is global and you want to be able to interact with universities across the globe. As an example, we have a very close partnership with the University of Arizona. So we offer dual degrees where you spend a certain amount of time in Amrita and you get the Amrita degree as well as the University of Arizona degree. University of Arizona is a top university in the world, and they work very closely with us in research as well as in academics to offer joint degrees. They work closely with us in our PhD programs and so on. So we have very many international global opportunities at our center, not to speak of the fact that we have a state-of-the-art facility. I think the main thing that I want to emphasize here with respect to the academics is that we really cannot have a molecular medicine program unless we had state-of-the-art facilities. To be able to study molecular medicine, and the reason why it's not offered everywhere, is because you need very advanced characterization. You need electron microscopes, scanning electron microscopes, you need Raman microscopes, you need advanced processing facilities, and so on. And so having all these advanced laboratories which help you actually get into the lab and create things is very important in these new fields. So the reason you study, why do you study molecular medicine? Because I'm not expecting you to read all this, but the main idea is the applicant we'll get a foundational, strong foundation in an interdisciplinary field of medicine, molecular biology, and clinical medicine, and allow you to develop diagnostic devices to detect diseases early, or new therapies, new medicines that can act much more efficiently than current medicines. For this, we have to understand diseases at a molecular level. So this is the reason why you study molecular medicine. Now, if you, from a very simple standpoint, look, the human body has 15 trillion cells. Okay, cells is the basic unit of the body. And what does molecular medicine do is treats and diagnoses diseases by targeting the drugs to individual cells. So a molecule can enter the cells, a small nanoparticle can enter the cells. So we can engineer the cells, we can correct defective cells. Therefore, when you correct the cells, because cells are aggregated into tissues, tissues aggregate into the body. So if you can start with the cell and be able to treat diseases at the cellular level, you need to work with molecules or sufficiently small particles like nanoparticles to be able to treat. So this is an exciting field because we are treating at a very fundamental level, and we have to make use of the field of molecular biology as well, because looking at molecular medicine is complementary to molecular biology. So one has to understand how the molecules in the body are important and how they work together to create a functional body, to create a functional being. What are the possibilities of errors? So you talk with genes, you talk about how genes translate into proteins, because proteins are the component of tissues. So genes are what creates the proteins. So if you change the genetic code, you'll change the proteins. If you change the protein, you can be either sick or you can be healthy. So one has to understand how the molecules work together to create a very healthy functioning system. So the code, the so-called genetic code, is made up of 4 alphabets, okay, which is A for adenine, C for cytosine, G for guanine, and T for thymine. So English language has 26 alphabets, but the human body works with just 4 alphabets. And with these 4 alphabets, we've been able to create 7 billion people with 7 billion different traits and complex personalities. So you can see the power of the molecules of the human body. So the gene basically is a phenomenal new invention that was discovered by Watson and Crick in the 50s. And it is basically 2 molecules that are kind of tied up together. And if you separate them, one of them can be looked upon as an RNA. And these genes code for proteins. And so molecular medicine is basically putting these molecules to work for you. How do you understand the relationship between these molecules and diseases? There could be defective genes which would give defective proteins. Defective genes can weaken the immune system, or an external molecule can come into the body and wreak havoc, cause malfunctioning of the molecules in the body, or a virus, for example, a coronavirus could come into the body, change the signaling of the system, and the body can start working malfunctioning. So diseases originate at the molecular level, and we have to understand that. And in order to correct these diseases, we have to also bring in external molecules which come into the system and correct the functioning of the body's molecules. So we can also use external molecules to diagnose diseases. If certain proteins, bad proteins, are overexpressed, how do you detect them? How do you know that they are in your system? So molecular medicine allows you to understand the origin of diseases and how to correct them. So to do this, as I was saying and as you saw in the video, we need advanced state-of-the-art labs. One of the reasons you don't see such courses offered everywhere is because you need these kind of labs. You need genomic lab, proteomic labs, you need molecular labs, you need cell biology labs, you need animal labs, because many of these diseases or many of these inventions and innovations are made by first testing them on animals, like mice, for instance, or rabbits. And these studies are required before one can actually move to humans. And you can also study them using computers. That's what is called the new field of bioinformatics. You can study molecular medicine using computers, and that's the field of bioinformatics. So we need a very powerful bioinformatic lab with powerful servers. And you also need drug development lab, you need clean rooms to develop drugs and so on. So all of these things, something that was not there 30 years ago, is today very much there in India, and the opportunities are there. This is the time for you to move and learn some of these new fields, which will help. So in molecular medicine research, you can be studying about various diseases, for example, inflammatory diseases, cardiovascular diseases, neurological disorders, cancer, diabetes. So important. Lifestyle diseases as well as other diseases or infectious diseases, all can be studied. And so the molecular medicine expert basically understands these diseases at a deeper level and is able to provide solutions to you. So the main idea, as shown in this slide, is that you have a lab, you have a clean room. For example, we have a clean room which will allow you to process things in a very highly clean facility, because any slight contaminant can spoil the whole medicine. So we need clean rooms, we need to have animal labs, and finally we need to have a hospital where we can talk to the doctors, we can see patients, we can take patient samples and study them. So one of the beautiful things about having a molecular medicine program in a hospital or associated with a hospital is one of the strengths of our program, because we have a very super specialty, strong super specialty or multi-specialty hospital. So we are very close to the problems of patients and what they are going through and what the problems are. We can talk with the doctors, and this interdisciplinary partnership is what is happening at our research center and our academic program. And this is an example of a clean room where students actually are suited up and doing research in a highly clean facility where the particulate content is very low. And this is another lab, clean room lab. And so now let's come to the opportunities. What is it, practically speaking, you can do once you graduate from programs like this? One, pharma companies. India is one of the largest pharmaceutical producer in the world. And even the corona vaccine, which was developed in Oxford, is being manufactured here in India in part. And so the opportunities in pharma companies are growing exponentially. And having this kind of strength is phenomenal. Biotech companies are not only looking at new drugs, they're looking at the mechanisms of disease, coming up with novel molecular ways to develop new treatments and so on. You also have nanotech companies, because now nanomedicines are also coming along parallelly with molecular medicine to develop solutions for various diseases. So these companies need molecular people. So there are new startups, new companies, as I said before. And then you also have hospitals. Hospitals have labs. Hospitals have testing labs, characterization labs. A lot of clinical tests are done in hospitals, and many of these are molecular tests. So they are looking for people who can do some of these routine tests and be able to supervise labs and so on. And finally, advanced study. As I said, you're not going to stop with a bachelor's degree, and you're going to go on to PG or even PhD eventually, whether in India or abroad. And these are all real opportunities. And so here I have put, what are the career prospects, some specific things like research, marketing, teaching, lab manager, medical scientist, genome analyst, etc. And the jobs are drug design, preclinical testing, analytical testing of medicines, and the industries I just mentioned what they are. Here are some of the industries that we have put in. This is a very short list, of companies. There is actually a very long list of companies which are taking some of our students. And if you are at the bachelor level, some of these companies we expect will be coming in for on-campus interviews. So it's a very dynamic area, and there's a lot of opportunities, both indigenous companies as well as multinationals that are set up in India are all coming and offering jobs and internships, which will help you develop in a very practical way. So the role that you will do, as I said, you could be a lab scientist, you could be a field application scientist, you could be a medical scientist, you could be developing precision medicines for different diseases. There's a wide range of opportunities, all the way from marketing to manufacturing to medical devices to developing new drugs and so on. So the role is very, very wide. So with that, I want to summarize and say that your opportunities today in India is really very, very interdisciplinary. And new fields are emerging, which is really exciting. Especially all of you young people should look at it. It requires, motivated young minds to get into them. That will make the country more dynamic. And these sorts of fields are exciting. A lot of opportunities there, not only for career in India, but also career abroad. Thank you very much.